Hello everyone and welcome to the New York Empoleon's Week 6 Team Builder. Nope. Hello everyone and welcome to the New York Empoleon's Week 6 Team Builder of the GBA Season 9. Now we are here this week taking on Deathly I Am and the Tennessee Trubbish. It is an in-division opponent, meaning that this battle sort of counts twice, since if we win, he loses by default, and if we lose, he wins by default. So that's a free, trade-off for us that way. And you may notice that I have a haircut here, and I don't have a haircut in the battle. I recorded this team builder like 2 days ago, 3 days ago when I was having the battle, and then I was editing it today, and it turns out that most of the audio file was corrupted. So I'm recording this post the battle. So I can show you guys clips from that, but I probably won't because I'm a lazy editor, let's be honest. But basically, what went down was I was talking about it, and every once in a while my video would just glitch, and then the audio would be completely desynced. I tried to fix it. Sometimes I will just fix that problem. It happened like 5 times, though. I have no idea what the cause of it was, but I've restarted my computer over the past few days and done some updates, so hopefully it all just resolved itself. But yeah, you'll notice that it is definitely after because... And this is actually both this and the APA battle, you'll see, have their team builders recorded after this week because my computer was sort of on the fritz and I was super busy. So anyway, we are taking on Deathly this week, and his team is horrifying. And it's interesting because when you look at it on paper, and I don't know, obviously I haven't seen the analyst videos yet at the time of recording this, but when you look at it on paper, my matchup looks good against him on paper, but there's a couple of mons that just really make my day, just give me a headache and make my day very difficult. So you're going to see some very interesting sets to deal with a couple of very specific threats on his team. But on the whole, I do think my team does match up pretty well against his. So his team is Kyurem White, Gothitelle with Shadow Tag being legal, Tapu Fini, Volcarona, Nihilego, Mega Aggron, Staraptor, Virizion, Hoopa Unbound, Magnezone, and Flygon, with Volcarona and Hoopa Unbound being his 2 possible Z users. And one thing immediately off the bat that I noticed about his team was that every one of his Pokemon is between 50 and 108 in terms of their speed tier. There's nothing higher than 108 and nothing lower than 50. Now, I don't have very much on the slow end either. My Donphan at 50 obviously is rocking out the slower end. Scrafty's down there as well. But I do have some stuff on the higher end to sort of abuse his speed tiers a little bit, and I think that means, and I've noticed this every week, you face a Tapu Lele, like I have it on my team, everyone is going to run a Mana-based 95 or faster Scarf. There is no doubt in my mind that that's what's going to happen, because they need a check to Tapu Lele. Because that thing forces them not to be able to use priority, and his team doesn't have that much priority to begin with, so running a Scarfer is not too surprising. But I don't know which mon it's going to be, and it could be any of them. That's what makes this matchup a little bit more challenging. Since Kyurem White, Nihilego, Volcarona, Hoopa, technically, Staraptor, and Flygon are all viable Scarfers. Hoopa obviously being slower than Lele, he probably won't. But if he does bring the Hoopa, I expect it to be Scarfed. Even though it does get outsped by the Lele, that's just not something he's going to want to check with it, or he's going to think I'm Scarfed, I go for a Psychic, he brings it in, and then he's safe. Although his team, let's be honest, spamming Psychic is not the most viable against his team, outside of the Nihilego and Virizion. Nothing else really wants to take a Moonblast better than a Psychic. So, anyway, that is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at something's going to be Scarfed, Volcarona's terrifying, Fini gets a free defog against my team, and I really want Rocks up this week, honestly. Volcarona, Staraptor, and Kyurem White all really don't appreciate Stealth Rock, so I really do want them up this week. Magnezone doesn't threaten me too much. I'm not too worried about trapping my Dialga. It can't really do anything to Dialga, even if it does get the trap. So honestly, some of the faster, harder-hitting threats, like Staraptor, Virizion, and Volcarona became more of an issue for me. I'm predicting it to be Scarf Kyurem or Scarfed Nihilego. Those are the 2 that seem to be the most common that people are bringing against me, and I do have a couple of answers to those. So, my first mon that you're noticing is going to be my Donphan, which is Choice Banded this week's Earthquake knockoff Stealth Rock and Ice Shard. Banded Stealth Rock is risky because of the Gothitelle potential switch-in that he has. That makes it a little bit scary to click Banded Stealth Rock, because then I'm stuck in against the Gothitelle and I can't actually do anything to it, allowing him to get completely free setup, although I don't think he's going to expect me to be Banded Stealth Rock, so he may not go for the setup there because of the fact that I can have the knockoff. But this Donphan does have the ability to 2-hit KO literally everything on his team with a Choice Band, between the coverage that it has. The only mons that don't get 2-hit KO'd by one of knockoff or Earthquake, which are Virizion and Flygon. really don't appreciate Ice Shard coming their way. So I am able to 2-hit KO literally everything, including the Mega Aggron. And I am running the 5 speed in this just to outspeed an uninvested Mega Aggron, just in case that is what he's trying to run. But this thing is really there to just break a thing, take something down, and then be able to pivot around that. Hopefully the Gothitelle doesn't make my day hell with this, because that is something that could definitely happen. But the Sturdy is going to help me get a couple of attacks off, no matter what. Next up, we do have the Zapdos, which is going to become with U-Turn, Thunderbolt, Roost, and Heat Wave. Heat Wave really there for the Mega Aggron and the Virizion. Other than that, Thunderbolt is pretty spammable against his team, honestly. And U-Turn gets me out against the Gothitelle and does like 90% to a Hoopa Unbound. So that's why I started to go with U-Turn over Volt Switch this week. And Thunderbolt honestly does just, I mean, just look at his team down the list. Thunderbolt is a pretty good move against most of that. The Flygon, obviously one thing this Zapdos doesn't want to face, but he doesn't know if I'm running Hidden Power Ice or not. And I have shown that I'm willing to run AV Zapdos in the past, so maybe I am running that Hidden Power Ice as that 4th coverage move, you never know. But Heat Wave should do a lot to majority of his team that doesn't mind taking a Thunderbolt, and U-Turn just is good momentum for this thing to have. And this thing is really a de facto check to the Tapu Fini, as well as being able to stop the Mega Aggron if it doesn't have a Rock-type move from doing basically anything. And the Gothitelle can't trap me because of U-Turn. You're going to notice that's a theme this week, that I am very worried about Gothitelle, just systematically picking away at my team. So everything has some sort of answer to Gothitelle. This Vaporeon, as you'll see, is a Roar, Wish, Scald, and Protect set. Roar gets me out against the Gothitelle. What I'm sort of worried about is that he's going to bring Trick Scarf Gothitelle with Calm Mind, so that he's just going to trick onto something like a Vaporeon and start setting up on me, and then take the Scarf back and win the game. I do have the Mega Beedrill. Spoilers for later, EV to outspeed a Scarf Goth, so it's not the end of the world if he starts doing that, but it is kind of terrifying nonetheless, and it's super annoying, and I just have to sit there for it. So what we're going to be rocking out with on this Vaporeon allows me to roar away the Gothitelle. If it tricks me into Roar, whatever, that's not the end of the world. I can then switch out my Vaporeon and come back in later. And then he doesn't have his Scarf for later, and if he doesn't trick me into anything, then I can just continuously stall him. This is 100% the switch into Kyurem White every time. Draco Meteor, even with a White Herb, doesn't 2-hit KO my Vaporeon, so even if he gets 2 full power Draco Meteors off, he's not 2-hit KOing outside of Choice Specs, which doesn't 2-hit KO because of the fact that he gets the special attack drop, doesn't have the White Herb. So Wish and Protect allows me to guaranteed survive that with the leftovers. This thing also switches in on Tapu Fini. Obviously, Nature's Madness is a problem, but that's okay. We do what we have to do, and we can Wish and Protect and stall that out. Stall out turns of the Misty Terrain until they're gone, and then Scald, get a burn, stop his leftovers, and slowly whittle that thing down with Scald. We win that 1v1 every time, so that is definitely something to look into. What I really can't let this thing take is a physical attack, since it is a max special attack one to take care of his special threats. Everything non-Z, Bloom Doom, Volcarona can't touch me unless it gets really set up, which I should just roar if it's starting to set up in front of me, things like that. So Vaporeon is my de facto special answer to most of his team, and we are going to be able to utilize it to stop the Kyurem White, to stop the Tapu Fini, and to stop the Volcarona and the Gothitelle from doing anything too shady. Next up is Victini, which is actually going to be Trick Room, Bolt Strike, V-Create, and U-Turn. This thing is sort of interesting. It's a Brave Nature with 0 speed IV, so it is going to be as slow as possible to underspeed his Volcarona and his Flygon and his Staraptor and his Nihilego, all of his things that are base 100 or so. I don't necessarily underspeed the Kyurem White if he is rocking out with no speed, but if he's rocking out with any speed, then yes, I do underspeed it. Trick Room plus V-Create allows me to become faster under Trick Room to actually underspeed the Gothitelle, the Mega Aggron, and the Magnezone after one V-Create. And Fire EMC just nukes something completely, which is absolutely great. Not to mention Trick Room into U-Turn into Donphan makes my Donphan the fastest thing on the field, and then I just kind of go from there and allow myself to Choice Band into maybe Earthquake if his Staraptor's dead, and his Flygon's dead, or Knock Off if they're not, and I think they're going to switch in, or Ice Shard even if, that's what I want. So this thing is incredibly hard-hitting against his team. It's got a little bit of bulk in it because I didn't have to run any speed investment, so I was able to run a bit more defensive utility, and so this thing can actually take some hits a little bit better than you might expect, and then be able to dish out some damage after it gets the Trick Room off. The Trick Room additionally is good against his Scarfers, so if he does, if I know he's Scarf Kyurem and he's locked into Ice Beam, for instance, or a -2 from a Draco, I can Trick Room on that, and then know that I'm going to outspeed the following turn, be able to click V-Create for free. I can take the Ice Beams I need to take and go from there. And finally, no, not finally, we're going to have Dialga next. There's 2 more mons left. Pardon me. Dialga's next with the Assault Vest, careful natured, a ton of HP, a ton of special defense. This thing is going to be killing basically everything it touches. Physical Dialga does not get stopped by Gothitelle. Again, I'm really scared of a Taunt or Trick Scarf set. Those are the 2 sets I'm really worried about. Basically, I don't want the Gothitelle setting up Calm Minds. So if he tricks a Scarf onto me, that's fine. He ends up with an Assault Vest. He can't set up at all. He can never trick again. He's stuck with an Assault Vest. And we've got a physical Dialga now with a Scarf, which is actually not a terrible thing, because that just handles the Finny better. It can maybe outspeed the Kyurem White if it's not Scarfed. It can outspeed this non-Scarf Nihilego, non-Scarf Staraptor, things like that. So it's not the end of the world if we do get tricked into a Scarf, but it is, this thing, Gothitelle does not stop this thing. If it starts setting up Calm Minds, 1, I outspeed it and can flinch it with Iron Heads 30% of the time, and 2, I don't have to worry about it setting up because I don't actually lose any offensive pressure by the fact that it's going for the Calm Minds, because Iron Head's still doing about 40% every time. If you switch in the Finny, Ironhead's still doing about 40% of that as well. And then this is really what this is for, though, is actually the Nihilego, which doesn't do anything to me, and the Volcarona, which can't OHKO me with a +1 Fiery Dance, Z Fiery Dance. That still does not OHKO me. It's guaranteed to 2 KO, and Rock Slide will take that out 100% of the time from full. And even if it fails to, that means that he's sashed in some way, or that he's Charty Berry, which means he's not Z-move, which means 2 Fiery Dances, even at +1 and +2, will not take me out. And so, like, if he gets a Quiver Dance off, I switch into this, he then goes for Fiery Dance, gets another +1 from the Fiery Dance. As I go for the Rock Slide, he survives it. I'm still alive. So there's a really good chance that this is going to be able to put in a ton of pressure against his team. This thing also stops the Kyurem White from doing anything too bad because it, again, really specially defensive, and as long as that thing is running a special set, which it should be, then this thing is going to be able to handle it. And Dragon Claw is just there really for the Flygon. It doesn't really hit anything else harder than any other move that I could possibly go for, and Iron Head's always better in case I outspeed something, and then I can get the flinch off. But it really is there for the Flygon because I didn't have a 4th move I really wanted to run on this thing this week, and I just figured, why not? And finally, we are going to be rocking out with Beedrill. Beedrill is going to be Adamant, and it doesn't need much speed because of the fact that it's going to be just outspeeding the Virizion. Again, I'm running a little bit more speed than that in order to outspeed Scarf Gothitelle, and therefore, by default, also Scarf Magnezone. Scarf Hoopa, if it's max speed Jolly, outspeeds max speed Beedrill by 1 point, which is like, it's not worth trying to do that, but that's why he could run Scarf Hoopa. So I decided to run Agility on this week with U-Turn, Poison Jab, and Drill Run as coverage, which hits his entire team incredibly hard, and if I get this thing in on something like the Gothitelle that I know is switching out, if he wants to use it for later, the Tapu Fini that can't really touch me, or even something like a Choice Nihilego, or the Mega Aggron that's really chipped. Things like those that I know might be switching out of fear because they are still useful later. I can set up an Agility, and then I can proceed to outspeed all of his Scarfers, and just kill his whole team. His general Scarfers, being Kyurem, takes 60% from Poison Jab, so if that thing is whittled down at all, that's gone. Nihilego dies to Drill Run straight up, Staraptor dies to Poison Jab straight up, Virizion dies to Poison Jab straight up, Flygon can take a hit, to be fair. If you Scarf Flygon, that sort of surprises me. That can take a hit from this. I have other things like I U-turn into the Donphan and then I Shard and the Flygon's dead. So, but Agility, Beedrill is coming this week. Hopefully it works. It's funny that like the week that my opponent has the slowest top speed is the week I just choose to run Agility on my Beedrill, because I know something's gonna be Scarfed and I have to play around that. And so hopefully you guys don't get spoiled over the match. I don't usually like to do my team builders after the battle because then you guys know, like, I know what happened. But hopefully you guys do enjoy this match tomorrow. It's a doozy. I didn't say it at the beginning, but go check out Deathly's channel. The link is in the description below, as always. The Tennessee Trubbish are, like I said, an in-division opponent, so this matters a lot. So make sure that you go check him out, and all the other coaches are also down there. Hopefully you guys do enjoy this team builder and this battle tomorrow, and come back and hang out each week for the TBL. Wow, no, not that. The GBA. And we will see you guys then. Take care, everybody.